Welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at e-filing a tax return. It became mandatory to file both Canada and Quebec income tax electronically for the 2012 and later tax years. If you are required to file electronically but do not comply, you may be charged a penalty of $25 for each federal and provincial tax return you submit by paper filing. If you're an individual in business, a corporation, or partnership, and you accept payment to prepare more than 10 T1 federal and provincial tax returns per year, you must file those returns electronically. Keep in mind that an employee who prepares tax returns as part of their work duties is not a tax preparer. Now let's take a look at how to e-file a tax return. There are a number of things that are mandatory that need to be done before we can e-file a client tax return. 1. Make it a must to always verify the tax return by following the procedures in the error and warning messages video. 2. Print the tax return and make sure all necessary forms are signed by the clients before transmitting the tax return by e-file to respected governments. This is very important as the government from time to time will ask for proof of signatures. There are 2 forms that must be signed by the client before you e-file their taxes. Form T183, Information Return for Electronic Filing of an Individual's Income Tax and Benefit Return, and Form TP1000, Online Filing of the Personal Income Tax Return by an Accredited Person. As a tax preparer, you must have these forms signed before e-filing the tax return. You can set up these forms to be printed automatically with production printing by following the procedures we covered in the printing videos. Once the forms are printed and signed, we can proceed to e-filing the tax return. Normally, when a tax return is completed and calculated, the processing status changes automatically to Ready for e-file in the client list. Under the processing status, only the files that reads Ready for e-file can be transmitted by e-file. As you can see, Ms. Peters' tax return is saying Ready for e-file, which means we can file her taxes using e-file. However, if the status Ready for e-file does not appear on the client list after all is done, go to the error and warning messages and the notes and diagnostics page to find out why the return is ineligible for e-filing. By default, DTMax sets all qualifying tax returns to Ready for e-filing automatically, so there's no need for any using keywords if the tax return is eligible. DTMax will do it for you automatically. There are times when you'll have to override the processing status to force an e-file transmission of a tax return, but this will be discussed in more detail later in Level 2. You can only e-file a tax return from a Client List tab or from the Tax Return tab. There are 2 ways you can e-file a tax return. You can click on the electronic filing e-file icon in the top taskbar, or you can select Transmit and Receive from the e-file menu. Let's click on the icon. The Transmit and Receive Electronic Returns screen opens up with a few options we can select. Under the heading Clients to e-file, we can e-file the tax return for current client, current family, marked clients that are eligible for e-file, and all clients with the status marked for e-file. Once you have made a selection, go to the right and select Jurisdictions to e-file. You can file both jurisdictions at once by selecting the checkbox for the destinations accordingly. When you are satisfied, click on the Continue button. After you click Continue, DTMax will generate the electronic returns for the clients and jurisdictions selected, transmit the returns to the respective destination, process all acknowledgements, and update the client statuses accordingly. An acknowledgement report indicating whether or not the return has been accepted will be available immediately after the transmission. Once the acknowledgement reports has been received, you can view the processing status in the client list. If the client's return is accepted, the words e-file acknowledgement OK should be displayed for both governments. If you'd like to view or print a report of the acknowledgement, click on e-file in the menu bar, scroll down, and select View and Print e-file reports from the menu. All transmissions sent and received are listed in the electronic filing report screen and are classified by date and report type. You can use the Windows scroll bar to move through the reports. Use your mouse to select and choose the report you wish to display or print. Note that reports which have been received but have not yet been viewed are identified as new in the client number column. Simply scroll through the list and mark the reports you wish to view or print by holding down the Control key while clicking to select with your mouse. Then click View Print Reports. All the reports selected will then be displayed for review. If you'd like to print the displayed page, right-click anywhere on the page and select Print this page from the menu. The status of the e-file transmission is displayed under the reference number and document control number. You will see a document control number and the word Accepted once the tax return has been accepted. On the other hand, you will see no document control number and the word Rejected if the tax return has been rejected. The status of all eFile clients will be automatically updated within the DT Max database as acknowledgement reports are being retrieved. Also, when a tax return has been successfully e-filed, the keywords Progress and Note will appear in the client's file in the data entry screen. Let's go to the data entry screen to view an example. The keyword Note will specify the document control number and the date of the transmission, whereas the keyword Progress will indicate e-file acknowledgement for each government. Note that once you have successfully transmitted a return, you cannot e-file it again. If you subsequently locate an error in the tax return, you will have to do a paper copy of the amended return with reference to the e-file confirmation number. Some amended tax returns can be retransmitted. If the return has been rejected, the keywords Efile Result and error code will appear in the client's file in the data entry screen. You should first try to determine the cause of the error, then make the appropriate corrections to the client's data and retransmit the tax return again. Most e-file error codes can be interpreted and resolved if you have an e-file error code manual from Revenue Canada and Revenue Quebec. You can find these manuals online, or you can call the e-file help desk for support. Once you find the error and have made the changes, remember to recalculate and reprint the tax return if necessary. If the refund or balance owing changed by $300 or more, a revised Form T183 and TP1000 must be signed by the client again. Once all is done, it's time to e-file the tax return again. If for some reason the e-file error cannot be easily resolved, you will need to contact the e-file help desk for assistance. The agent will ask you for your office's electronic filer identification number, the client's social insurance number, name, and other information pertaining to the client file. We will stop here for now and discuss more on e-filing in Level 2. In the next video, I'm going to show you how simple it is to change the client tax return information for filing in another province outside of Quebec. Bye for now.